Hello, welcome back to Talk Seagulls, and we're here literally the morning after what was the exit of the Carabao Cup. The dream is over. We wanted the league anyway, realistically, didn't we? Whatever we said in the last thing doesn't count, right? We didn't want it anyway. I'm joined with Toby, again, the Liverpool fan that's from here, and he's a former goalkeeper. We all know the story by now. Toby, how you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm all good, thank you. Obviously, very happy after last night.
Yeah,
obviously, after the first half, I was a bit sceptical if my prediction would be right, and it was right.
Yeah,
so,
you got it right, to be fair to you, 3-2. I mean, I was a little bit cagier, and I thought, I did think Liverpool would win, and they did. I don't think we made it too difficult for them. I think, it's the first half, I thought, actually, to be fair, this is what we'll start with, is the actual build-up play was a little bit better. I thought, we were starting to play out from the back. Jason still tried his best to sort of, do them really narrow passes that get you on the edge of your seat. And I thought, okay, maybe it's a bit of a, old style Brighton. It sort of went a bit downhill, and I think eventually the quality just shone through. As we said before, I think that the two games between now and the weekend are going to be very different. You're going to see, obviously, the big names are going to be back in for Liverpool, and even for us, we're going to have a few more of our usual starters, if you like. But based on last night, Toby, I mean, I say the styles, it's a little bit more closer to what maybe De Zerbi would have played. Do you think you're a little bit worried, perhaps on the Liverpool front, thinking, okay, Brighton is starting to play something, or were you not really too bad about it?
I think I was quite mixed. I think you could tell that both sides have made changes. So there was obviously glimpses where it sort of lacked a bit of quality, but then also there was times where a lot of quality sort of shone through, but more from an individual perspective. I think from Brighton's side, obviously, it was quite good. Obviously, the build-up play was good. They're sort of on the same wavelength. But I think just overall maybe sort of lacked a little bit of quality maybe into the final third, and just them key moments where you could tell that certain players maybe hadn't been playing for a while. But I think overall, obviously, first half wasn't too many clear-cut chances. Then it sort of opened up, and I think that's sort of shown. I think neither defences were brilliant, and I think that's probably where a lot of the changes were made. But overall, it was quite a mixed game.
I've come out of it a bit weird about it. I don't really know what to make of it. Even the atmosphere is just a bit odd to me. It was just a little bit. I know it's the cup and everyone's not sat in their usual. I actually bought my season ticket again, and I was just sat in the same place. But again, it was just a bit of a strange feel to the game. I guess it just felt a little bit like a friendly, to be honest. I think there wasn't too much quality involved. I think second half, obviously the goals sort of came into it. First half, the only real clear-cut chance I could really think of was that Tarek moment. And I wasn't sure if he was offside. I think he was just played on sort of on that near side, if you're at the West Stand side. And probably should have scored. It was a good save from the new boy in goal. Wasn't it?
Hell of a save. Obviously, a dangerous header where he then tits it onto the post. Is a phenomenal save, and quite a key time as well. I think obviously if that goes in, it might sort of change a little bit of the game. I think it probably still might have the same outcome, but it might have just sort of sat off maybe a little bit more. And I don't know. It was quite a key moment, because then obviously we then get the second. But it's a phenomenal save, and I think it was his first start, 'cause he made his debut against Palace when Alisson came off injured because Kelleher wasn't available, so he came on for that. But obviously this was his first start, so for him it was quite a big occasion, and to actually have like an important moment.
He had a very good game, I think, overall.
It was good, I think it was really good.
Quite commanding, pretty good on the ball. And it always happens, isn't it? The third choice goalkeeper comes in and as a bit of a blinder. But from your perspective, looking at it as a goalkeeper yourself, I mean, you must have been pretty impressed.
No, I was really impressed. Obviously, he's quite a young boy. Obviously, making his debut, it's different. I think him coming on in the Premier League obviously would have done a world of good, but having your first start, it's slightly different, because when you come on, there's no real expectation. You go, I'm sort of just going to sit on the bench, and you just see the game out. You're not really expected to come on. But when you know you're starting, you probably would have known you were starting from probably Monday, so he's had that anticipation of playing. But I thought he handled it really well. It was a good game. Like I say, I think first half was probably quite good for him. It sort of let him build into the game a little bit more.
He made that early save, didn't he? To sort of.
That's what I mean. He built into it. It built into him quite well. So it sort of that would have just led on throughout the 90 minutes. And overall, I think he'd be very pleased with it. And same with Liverpool fans, is very pleased, because obviously obviously Alisson's out, and then you go, oh, what if Kelleher gets injured? And you go, actually, we've got a kiddie here that can clearly do a job. So yeah, happy days.
No, he was quite impressive, I've got to be honest. And it's probably spoke for a lot of the Liverpool side, and there wasn't really too much to report from that first half apart from that Tarek chance, to be honest. I was quite happy with how we played in terms of actually trying to play the ball out from the back. I think we still just sort of lack maybe the quality at the back to really maybe go through the motion like we did before. Maybe we isolated the midfield a little bit, and obviously after how Mats Wiefer had that huge mistake sort of last week, it was really, really important for him to, one, start this game, and two, play well. I thought the third goal didn't shine at much glory, which we'll get to. That was a bit of a calamity of errors in itself. But I thought overall he started actually quite well. And that's one of the main things. The passes were going, and so the intended targets, they're accurate. And I was thinking, right, okay, that's a start. He looked a little bit more in control of everything. His sort of composure in midfield was there a little bit more. He had a bit more of a leadership role probably in midfield because Carlos was out. Well, not out, but he was being rested. So, yeah, I think I was happy on the majority with Wiefer, and it was really him and Brian Gruder that shone for me. I think probably the latter more than the other, but I was happy that Wiefer wasn't too overshadowed by that, terrible error from last week.
Yeah, I think they were definitely your two sort of best players. I think also Tarek gets an honourable mention as well. I think obviously he was really good with the
Going
bits
forward,
he done. I think defensively, I don't think obviously Brighton had the best of games, but I think that's where you made a lot of changes, so it's always going to be difficult. But yeah, if we see those two, Wiefer, I thought was really, really good. And he was confident as well. Like you say, it's easy for him to maybe come off the back of that mistake, people call it, and probably could have hidden a little bit. But no, he was winning the balls, demanding it, making good passes, making things happen. So yeah, I think from a Brighton perspective, you can sort of take that and go, okay, he's sort of put that to the side and he's moving forward and he's ready to try and push to start, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. And what was really, really getting to me was that after full time, and I was just seeing, not so much probably from social media, funnily enough, I was actually listening to radio and I was just listening to sort of fans' opinions, and I was hearing Mats Wiefer sort of almost getting dug out for the mistakes he made. And I couldn't help but think, I don't think he had a bad game, really. And it was really annoying me because it was reminding me sort of when, I remember when David Propper came in from the Netherlands, when Dale Stephens played. It's Billy Gilmore's another one. It's like the midfielders that maybe don't look so glamorous. They're not going to run through and sort of create chances of shots, but they're probably going to do the sort of less, pretty side of football. They're going to break up the play. And that's really what Wiefer is. He's a bit of an anchor, if you like, but he's also quite capable of playing the ball forwards. And people just don't like it. I don't know what it is. They just scapegoat it straight away.
I think they have high expectations. When big signings come in, they have really high expectations. When they come from big clubs, there's always high expectations and people expect them just to hit the ground running straight away. And I don't think that's the case, especially when you come over to the Premier League. I think it's so different to sort of any other league. So yeah, there's always high expectation. It's so difficult for a midfielder because, like you say, people tend to just judge on like goals and assists and blocks. And when you're that type of player, it's all that, sometimes the ugly side of football. And then, but he also does the basics really well, which people don't really tend to recognise. Like Dale Stephens was one. He just used to do the basics well, just get on the ball and pass.
I loved Stephens
so
so much.
But people just get on the ball and pass it, but then doesn't really have them wow moments. I think it's the same as we feel like, yeah, he's probably not just going to dribble through loads of people and then have like a 30-yard screamer, but he does the basics so well, which is actually so important. When you're a manager, and managers get it, they tend to be the first people you pick because you can rely on them. You're going to get a 7 out of 10 from them every game. Obviously, yeah, he's had some mistakes and stuff like that, but he's still getting used to it. And I think he's a quality player. Like he does do the basics really well, but he's probably not going to give you them wow moments. But from a fan's perspective, that's the stuff you obviously like to see.
It feels like he's growing into the sort of side. I think he didn't have a pre-season, did he? I think he had a lot of injuries towards the end of last season, or at least he was carrying something when we signed him. So he didn't obviously come straight in and have that pre-season in Japan like we would have probably wanted him to. So coming into the beginning of the season, I think he was thrown into the deep end straight away. We started him against Everton. And I think the first 45, he sort of gave the ball away a couple of times. And then the second sort of 45, he looked a lot more composed and assured. And I thought, okay, that's what you expect from a sort of centre midfielder starting his first game. And maybe then after that, he didn't really sort of keep his place. I think his injury probably didn't help. He still wasn't quite fit enough to start 90 every single game. And then that's when Jack came in. And as much as I absolutely love Hinchelwood, it probably wasn't an opportunity to drop Hinchelwood. He was playing pretty well. I think he played left back, right back, midfield, and then he was sort of established himself next to Baleba for a couple of games. And again, from Matt Zweiffer's point of view, what can you do? You can't get in front of Baleba because Baleba's had a great start to the season. You can't stop Jack Hinchelwood from starting because he's having a good start to the season. So from his point of view, again, yes, okay, he's a bit of a maybe less glamorous side of the player. But when you are that sort of player, as you say, you don't have that wow moment that's exactly going to get you off the edge of your seats like sort of Kieran Mitoma can do. But when you sort of do that, people then overjudge the amount of passes you make. Yeah. And as soon as you start maybe giving the ball away a couple of times, that's what you'll be remembered for, rather than the other way.
It's really difficult for players in that position to then try and break into a team. It's really tough. Sometimes when you're a winger, you can come on for 30 minutes and you score a goal, or you have them wow moments. It's easier for the manager to go, actually, like, you've shown me something here in a short space of time, you deserve to start. And it's really tough because obviously Baleba and Jack have been doing so well.
Yeah, and Yassine Ayari as well.
And when he's come on, he's done so well. So it's been really difficult to break into the team. You guys have been winning and performing well. When you're a manager, it's obviously this easy saying, you can't really change a winning team because they gel so well and they're performing so well. So for him, it's so difficult to break in. Obviously, all he can do is, when he gets his opportunity, is again just do the basics well, do the right things, do what he's good at, and don't try and force anything and don't try and change anything, because then all of a sudden you get yourself a different player, and that's not who you've signed. You signed him because of his qualities, and I think that will shine through. It's just it's so difficult when you're in that position to break into the team, because obviously you've got players that are doing so well and you're winning. You just have to be patient, which is obviously easier said than done.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think this is basically what I'm trying to get at when I'm hearing it and I'm seeing it and I'm thinking, it just drives you mad. It's almost like pushing an agenda and there's someone to blame for the sake of blaming them. And I hate it. It's always going to be in football. You can't do anything about it. There's always going to be someone to be a scapegoat. But if you told me before the beginning of the season it'd be Matt Zweiffer, I'd have laughed in your face because of sort of how well he did. But here we are. This is where we're at in it. This is football.
It's always, football fans are always going to be football fans. They're right to have their own opinions and stuff, whether you agree with it or not. But I think the only thing you can is just get behind your players. He's a new player. It's not like he's been there for absolute years. He's a brand new player. So you just want him to do well. He's hopefully going to be there for years to come. So obviously the last thing you want is to get on their back, and then next bit, he's not playing and he's at your club and you're losing money. So hopefully he doesn't strike me as one who's just going to look at what the fans say and he's going to be get down about it. I think he's shown with his performance yesterday that his mistakes, they don't bother him, but he can just put it past him and he can go, right, I'm going to show you guys what I can do. And overall, I think he did perform quite well. Yeah,
I agree with you. I think he'll be fine. Just while we're on the subject of the good things and the players that stood out to me, especially as the Brighton one, yes, one is Tarek, but the other one was Brian Gruder. It's his first full start. And as we know with Gruder, I think he was touted as one of the sort of best young German players in the world when we signed him. And I think yesterday we really got a really good glimpse of that. We saw a real sort of gem being unlocked. I think his first touch is phenomenal. I think I've said it so many times about Mitoma on the other side, and probably haven't had that consistent right winger for so long. We had Minte, but then he got injured, and we had Solly, and he was injured, and so we haven't had a right winger sort of consistently for a while. And I thought, okay, right, if we could just have someone on that side to sort of be comfortable enough. As much as I do love Simon Adingra, he's a left winger. And I thought he was just brilliant. I'd even like to see him sort of centrally as well, maybe to just mix things up a little bit. But his skill set and his sort of technical ability, you could see really, really early on, we've got a serious player on our hands.
Yeah, and I think he's different to then Weaver. He's the flip side. He'll show you them sort of magic moments. So then that gets the fans really excited. But obviously you saw a lot of glimmers yesterday of what he can do, and he's very exciting. I think he's another one. He just sort of needs time, and for him to start breaking into the team and starting, it's going to be tough because look at the quality you do have in them sort of wide areas and the attacking areas. But he's shown that I think he's ready to sort of kick on, and he had them them glimpses yesterday, which does get you really excited as fans. So yeah, it's definitely very positive out of yesterday.
He's unlucky not to have a couple goals, to be fair. I think he had one shot sort of second half, just narrowly wide of the post, and it was, I thought actually that was his moment. I thought that was going to go in the way he was going that game. But just overall as well, his hard work and his pressing was really, really good to see. A bit similar to actually Minte. Minte's really, really good with sort of that hard work and, that tenacity to go at players all the time. I like that a lot in him. And we can see that in Gruder. And I guess that's when you look at the whole base of the side that we've signed sort of in the summer transfer window, so many of these players are hustlers. They're sort of warriors on the pitch.
They're very,
They like to be sort of in your face, I think. And that's what I like about this Brighton side is there are a lot of players that will run. We said this last time, didn't we, about the runners. And it looks like Gruder's just another one of those that's probably going to kick on and be a really, really big player.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, when he adds that sort of final product and goals, his talent's going to be frightening. I think that's the next thing. But like I say, he's still very young, so that will come. And obviously, then him being around the players you have now at Brighton, it's only going to do in the world of good. So yeah, I think that's something very exciting for the fans to sort of get up for and hopefully see a bit more of. I think he sort of showcased yesterday that he might start to feature a little bit more, which will be good to see.
And after all that great talk about Gruder at half time, Gakpo decides, you know what, shut up.
That's where the quality shines through. I think that's the levels, isn't it? That's the levels
I just got comfortable again, sort of thing, and I just sat back in myself, and then all of a sudden, there you go.
Yeah. And I think that's what you get whenever you play like big clubs and stuff. They have the quality shines through on the pitch, and them little moments of magic is obviously both his goals. The finishes are incredible. So the first one is spectacular. He's just cut in and
it's both of them, to be fair. I know it's near post on steel, but he hit that hard.
Oh, there was someone I saw someone going, Steve's got to do better, and I'm thinking, hold on a minute, look how close he is to the goal, and he has rifled that. Like, I'm sorry, there is no chance whatsoever he's ever going to save that. He has hit that so well, and he's taken both goals phenomenally well, and it's brilliant to see from a Liverpool perspective. It's brilliant, especially with like Jota being out injured and stuff. So it was good to see the way he's sort of taken it.
Gakpo's a great player. I do like
high quality. Very high
quality. He sort of really shone to me yesterday. Them shots were terrifying, to be honest. The way he sort of took him so quick, so early, and so powerfully as well. I mean, it was impressive. I've got to be honest, and I'll be impartial as I always am. Especially when you've got them again this weekend. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at these players that as much as Gakpo is a great player, he doesn't often start all the time.
No.
So sort of look at Liverpool and I think, okay, when you come on to Saturday, there's another player that's one to worry about. It's not just Salah, etc. It's also like Gakpo who have that immense quality.
Yeah, I think it was, again, Gakpo probably struggled to try and break into the side because we started the season off so well, and Jota and Salah and Diaz were all starting superbly well, and you can't really drop one of them because they're playing so well. See, Jota has his issues. He has his issues with his injuries, and it's frightening. And obviously, then you've got Nunes and stuff coming on, and when he's come on, he's done fairly well. So for Gakpo to come in, it's sometimes because it's also one of them. It's working out sometimes where to play him. I prefer him actually off the left, but then you're going to play Diaz. So I quite like Gakpo off the left. I know people have tried playing him like the 10 in that sort of midfield role. I think when he sort of finds his feet and sort of what position he works really well in, because he can play as a 9 as well, but I don't think he does as well there when he comes in off the left. So I think when he sort of works out, or sort of when the manager sort of works out maybe where best to place him, he might start to play a bit more. But it's always difficult. We do have such high quality in that front line, but you need your whole squad throughout the whole season in every competition. So he's such a key man for the team. But obviously he's going to want to start every single game. That's impossible.
Yeah, of course. I think this is probably the thing that was probably the painful one, really, because as much as we fought back, and this is what happens when Evan Ferguson shoots. Something happens, and I think that's the sign of such a high class player, of someone of Evan's quality. Is when he shoots, okay, it's a little bit of a spill maybe, and there's maybe the defense isn't quick enough to get back to it. But it's something to happen.
You ask the questions whenever you take a shot. You always ask the questions. And I think Evan does that really well. He gets his shots off well, and then Edinger's done really well to follow it in. He's on his toes. He's alive to it, and like you say, it's it's bobbled off and defenders might not react quickly, but you don't know unless you take that shot.
Yeah, you create your own luck, right?
Yeah.
Especially someone like Ferguson who has that ability to just generate so much
He's
power.
not afraid to shoot.
No.
I think that's another beauty of it. He's not afraid to shoot. You get a lot of players sometimes turn down opportunities, and that does your head in sometimes. Right?
Yeah.
See an opportunity, shoot. Not many people tend to have a go at you when you get a shot off, unless you're like 40 odd yards out and you could have played a pass. Not many people tend to have a go when you shoot.
I'm glad you said this actually, just before we get on to our last bit of the game, because Julio Enciso, right? He's hot and cold in the fan base. I think I'd say loved for a couple years.
Yeah.
I'd say in this last 3 or 4 months, maybe it's the amount of talk around bigger moves. Maybe it's the amount of talk around maybe thinking he's probably a bit above his station, if all honesty. And potentially when you watch him on the pitch, sometimes I do think, why did you shoot again? And, you maybe want to see him play that pass. Maybe you want to see him even just bring the ball a little bit closer to the goal or just try and do something else other than just think, let's have a go. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for long shots. I think, as I said before, I think long shots in football now technically should be probably more effective than they've ever been, because players are more prepared to do that, and they're also physically more dominant than they've ever been as well. Yeah. But for someone like Julio, yes, he's technically very good, but it's that inconsistency you see in him, and he really hasn't started this season well.
It's really difficult. I do feel for him because he's had his really tough time with injuries.
Yeah.
And obviously whenever you come back from injury, you don't know if the player's ever can get back to the same level, and I don't think he's got back to the same level, and hopefully he does, because he is a fantastic player. He is a phenomenal talent. You as Brighton fans have seen his quality, and we've all seen his quality, like his goals. Some of them scored have been spectacular.
Yeah.
I think it's for me, the way he can maybe get back into the side and maybe start playing a bit more is doing them basics really well and picking the right times, maybe when to shoot. Yeah,
it's maturity, isn't it?
I think so. Obviously, like I say, normally has a go at you for shooting, but when it sort of keeps happening and it's not working, you have to go, right, hold on a minute now, like just play the pass or just change it up, and or maybe just shoot from a bit closer. I think that's the other thing. But yeah, it would be nice to see him get back to the quality, because he's a phenomenal talent, and there's reasons why he was getting looked at by big clubs. So yeah, I think he just come back in, do the basics well. But yeah, it's always difficult because he's had his injuries.
Yeah. It is hard. I think he was one that I would say 100 million talent not long ago. The thing is now it's quite a big time for him, really, I'd say, because he went away with Paraguay. Paraguayan fans are quite torn on him as well. It has to be said that they had sort of similar sort of reservations as us. I think he stormed off the pitch, but then also he does do very, very big things for his nation and does score some very big goals and contributes in very important fashion. With obviously Diego Gomez there, that's going to be incoming to Brighton not long. So, there's a lot of reasons to take a lot of positives from Julio, but I think the beginning of this season, there is just that little bit maybe lacking in him. I don't know what is going through his head, whether the rumours are true of him wanting to get maybe the big move too early, or if it's just a bit of maybe misled agent talk or something.
Yeah.
I'd probably fear it's probably the latter.
But he's still so young as well.
Yeah.
So obviously when you get sort of surrounded by that, it's hard for your head not to turn and to look elsewhere. I don't think it's probably been managed very well. I don't know whether that's an agency thing, but I don't know whether that whole situation's been managed well, because
Reminds me of Caicedo.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I think the difference with Caicedo was that he was starting every week and he was having some amazing performances. Like he was playing spectacularly. Whereas I think Julio has he really had that run of games or that consistent with his goals. Yeah, he's had them wow moments, and like I say, he's a great talent. But have we really sort of seen that like consistency? And it's really difficult because obviously he's had the injuries. So of course it's hard to get that consistency when you've been injured. But I think for him to actually maybe get that move or just to be a starting 11 just needs to be a bit more consistent, I think.
Back on the Liverpool front then, got a message from Ben again. He's not quite in Qatar this time.
Oh, that's a shame.
I'll show you the clip.
Hey guys, Ben here reporting for a second time this week. Unfortunately, a less flamboyant background than the one that we saw earlier. Unlucky last night. I thought, it was a game that Liverpool probably deserved to win. But at the same time, we tried to throw it away best we could in the second half or towards the end of the second half. But yeah, I think obviously what that shows for me is just, firstly, how Arne Slot has everybody in Liverpool's squad drilled into the system at the moment, bringing people like Endo in, Tyler Morton, who haven't had many minutes this season and still feeling like really we were controlling the game, is really promising for us. One of the first chances I've had to have a real good look at you guys this season. Really like Gruder, really like Ajingra. Obviously, we know about Enciso's quality. I thought Evan Ferguson struggled to get into the game, and I think obviously that's going to show for you guys just how much you're going to struggle. I don't know how long Danny Welbeck's out for, but how much quality he brings for you. I thought Ferguson, as much as I rate him as a young talent, clearly quite isn't at that level yet of being able to completely lead the forward line. Is my reading of it anyway. You guys might see it differently, but he was coming up against a good experienced centre back in Joe Gomez. Overall, we played a pretty experienced back line. Obviously Robertson as well. Conor Bradley at this point made plenty of appearances for Liverpool. So yeah, going into this weekend. Obviously, a lot of the big lads will come back in. McAllister, Salah, possibly Nunes. Interesting. I'd be interested to see whether he sticks with Gakpo now, because of the performance last night. Whenever he plays at the moment, Gakpo he's proven to look really good for us. I would always back us at home. So I think going into this weekend, you guys are going to come again and a bit of a point to prove maybe. But Anfield is obviously, a very different place. You've had some decent results there, I suppose, over the last few years. But at the moment, we just feel so controlled. We're so composed on the ball, off the ball. We look like everybody knows their roles. And we just keep winning. So fingers crossed for another one for us at the weekend. And yeah, all the best for the rest of the season, no matter what happens on Saturday.
Yeah, we've still got a lot to worry about on the injury front. I think there's naturally concern over when Joao Pedro is going to get back. I think Hertzler sort of alluded to it in his post match yesterday. Of we are hoping to have a full team back soon. I don't know. I must admit, going to Anfield on the back of last night as well, I think on the most part, we didn't have too much of a bad side, to be honest. That's to be said. Okay, yes, we started Gruder, but we signed him for 25 million. No, yes, we started Weaver, but we signed him for 25 million. And, this is a different Brighton side now. Adingra was a regular starter last season. Julio was a regular starter last season. Evan obviously was a regular starter. Van Hecker's been sort of key for us. Veltman came on in the second half. Kadioglu's been sort of getting himself back into the team before the injury. Steele was a regular starter last season. Realistically, it's a pretty good side, isn't it? So
yeah, I think I think it's really difficult when you flip it that side. Yeah, they're regular starters last season, but football moves so quickly, and if you haven't played for like 3-4 weeks, or even if you haven't played for a couple of weeks, it sometimes takes you like 15-20 minutes to even get into a game. So it is so different, especially you've got some boys who haven't played for ages. So I think that side is difficult, and you're playing with new players. Like a lot of these boys probably wouldn't have played with each other. Yeah, you train with each other, but when you're actually playing in a game, it's different. And a cup games always feel different. It's always a different occasion. I don't know what it is, but especially from like a Liverpool fan's perspective, we just seem to play so differently when it's a cup game. And I don't know whether it's different personnel, but yeah, we just seem to just have something different. Yeah, the stars are the same, and Arne Slot had that sort of the same tactics, but I don't know, it just feels different. It has a different feel, and it's the same on the pitch. When you're on the pitch, a cup game just does feel different. And that's why I thought there was going to be goals yesterday, and obviously there was in the second half. I don't know, I just felt like just cup games, it feels different. And from a player's perspective, you do feel that as well. Everyone goes, oh, you just go into the game the same. It's not. It always has a different feel. Like the fans are slightly different, and yeah, I don't know. I think it's a difficult one.
Do you agree with Ben on the sense of Slot sort of, pretty much all round, not just in the first 11, but going into the whole squad is quite well drilled?
I think so. You saw him on the sideline yesterday in the last 10-15 minutes or so. He's really getting into his players and wanting, from a defensive point of view as well, was wanting that structure which you see from the normal starting 11. So I think from a whole, obviously every manager wants all of his players to be on board. But it is difficult when it's different sort of personnel because they're not as used to it. But I think he is right. Arne Slot wants to get everyone drilled in. I reckon they probably do train with quite a big squad because he wants all of his fringe players, you call them, and academy players to know exactly what his ideas are and what his vision is if they have to come in for the big games.
To have that impact so early on is pretty incredible, to be honest.
No, it is really impressive. And I think we see him from a Liverpool side that he really is, he's quite firm and quite drilled. Yeah, on the sideline, he's nowhere near as passionate as what Klopp is. And
but
he shows it. But from a tactics point of view, I think he goes into really, really good detail. I think he's a really good modern coach. I think that is the modern way of coaching. There's a lot of modern way of coaching where it's very like tactics driven. And I think we're starting to see that. We can sort of see a little bit more, right, this is actually exactly how Liverpool are going to play. Like we said last time under Klopp, it was very erratic, and I think that was just their style, and I really liked obviously watching it. But I think now, like I say, there's a bit more of that calmness, and there's a bit more tactics, and the sort of players seem to know a bit more what they need to do on the ball and off the ball, and not just right, go. So yeah, it seems to be very sort of tactics driven from Arne's side, which is quite nice to see.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, well, the rumours were that we wanted him in the summer before obviously he went to Liverpool. So I could imagine that he would be good, because if Brighton won him, he must be all right.
Yeah, I think he's a very good coach. Obviously he had great success, and there was that buzz around sort of coming in. It was like, okay, actually this is going to be different. A very modern coach, and like I say, tactics driven. So yeah, he's come in and settled well, but everyone can see the run of games we've now got, so that's going to be a real test. But yeah, I think we just go into it positively and had a great start. So.
I look at the end of the last sort of 10, 15 minutes where we looked like we could be back on for it. And this is the bit where I wanted to get to at the end, because I didn't want to speak about the really, really negative part of the podcast right at the beginning, but I thought at the end is a bit more appropriate. But that third goal might be one of the worst goals I've ever seen us concede.
That doesn't look great, does it?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I've seen us concede some god-awful goals. That Mo Diame goal for Newcastle a while back on my birthday, I'll never forget that one. That is the worst goal I've ever seen. But I've got to be honest, the calamity of errors, and not just from Weaver, but I think Lamptey was in there, I think Igor was in there, I think Steele can be involved with the near post shot. I think it was just a bit of mixture of everybody. It looked genuinely
terrible. It did look terrible. I think there was a picture where everyone was sort of just looking at the ball, and it's sort of like, I think that sort of maybe just shows like, obviously people aren't used to playing with each other. It's I don't know, it didn't look great, did it? Yeah, it didn't look great. It was just sort of error after error, and then obviously the ball's gone up, it's come down, everyone's sort of just just waiting for just the ball just to get cleared. I think some of the Liverpool players were just waiting for it to get cleared, and then obviously Diaz just shows his bit of quality, and it didn't look great.
Diaz almost just felt like, hang on, stop the boys from playing. The man's going to take charge.
He was like, hold on a minute.
And he just thinks, do you know what? If I just get this and have a shot, it's probably going to go in looking at this lot. And I don't know what happened in that. We just seem to do it so often.
I think it just switched off. Everything just switched off.
Switch off too much.
Yeah, I just wasn't expecting. I think it's just, maybe just not expecting it. I don't know. It didn't look great, did it?
Yeah, this is my biggest reservation, isn't it, of Brighton this season, is we do just have that tendency to switch off. And don't get me wrong, I do think a big part of that is down to not having Lewis Dunk. Oh, yeah. Because Lewis Dunk does help. Because without that sort of leadership quality, as much as I like Veltman, as much as I like Van Hecke, Igor, if they're not Dunk, right? Because Dunk is the captain, Dunk is the man. I said this last time. And without him, it's quite worrying, to be honest, because Dunk is out for a while yet, and we've still got to play, obviously, City, we've still got to play Liverpool at the weekend. And in that is a tough period. Of course, we've got the international break, which helps a little bit. But regardless, it's tough. Kadioglu's gone out off sort of first half, so that's another defender missing. Apparently not too bad. If Hurst's sort of telling the truth on that one, I don't know. So hopefully he is okay. But still, defensively, we just like to switch off, and we almost like to just do it to ourselves sometimes.
Yeah, it's never easy when you lose your skipper. Obviously, he's the leader of the club, really. Let's be honest, he's the leader of the club. He's the fans' favourite. He's the man. And obviously, when you're in your starting 11 and your captain's not there, it's a bit of a worry. And it also doesn't help. And then you've got your other experienced players as well that are out. Obviously, James Milner, he's another one, really experienced, born leader. Adam Webster, he's a leader as well. So yeah, I think it's not just the fact he's out, but it's also other leaders around it on the pitch. Obviously, you had Steely in goal, but I think as much as every goalkeeper needs to be a leader in my eyes, you need an outfield player as well who's a leader. Because obviously, at the end of the day, Steely's main job is to protect the goal. Yes, he's always going to be a leader. Every goalkeeper, like I said, should be. But you need an outfield player that's going to be a leader as well. And I don't know if you have that right now.
No, actually, I'm really glad you mentioned this, because during the summer, this was probably one of the biggest talking points, was the lack of leadership. Because we lost Pascal Gross, who is a legend. Yeah. We lost Adam Lallana, who was a hugely influential player over the last 4 years. These aren't just small players to go, and even the likes of De Zerbi in the back room, they're all going to have leadership styles in themselves. Regardless of how we finished the season under De Zerbi, and regardless of what De Zerbi's doing at Marseille, that transition was then made even harder coming into someone that's a young manager without that sort of leadership core that was probably there last season, and that to me is quite evident, I think.
Well, you definitely have it. Like, so you definitely have the leaders in the squad and in the training ground.
JP's got potential to be there. I think, but again, he's young. I don't want him to just be the captain now. That's just ridiculous. I can't expect that.
Needs a bit of guidance.
I would want maybe someone like Dunk to hand over the armband in a couple of years if please JP can stay here for that long, because I think he's a fantastic defender. But I don't want him to be the captain now because he's not ready to be, and he would admit that. I don't think deep down in himself he would say, yes, I'm ready to captain this football club, because he knows he's not there yet. As much as he's a great player, he's got potential to be a good captain. But other than that, I wouldn't say there's a great deal of players that could probably say the same thing for. Matt Weaver, someone like that. You'd want someone in that midfield to probably take that if it's not going to be a centre.
And that would take time. I think, Jack for me as well. Jack's a really good leader.
But again, but he's 18.
Look how young he is. So, I think you are missing that sort of leadership, especially with Dunkey out and obviously the others out as well. But it's an opportunity for someone to maybe step up and show them leadership qualities. But again, that's very easier said than done.
Yeah. You've got to be born with it, I think, leadership.
Yeah, and I think it does come like Steely. He's a born leader. But like I say, I think goalkeepers always need to be leaders, but you need someone on the outfield who's going to lead as well. I think that's maybe what you're missing at the moment a little bit.
I agree. There's still a January transfer window to come, although I highly doubt we'll go too much.
But you're going to get them players back as well. You will get them players back.
Yeah, I mean, the good one is that Diego Gomez, as we mentioned earlier, actually, funnily enough, he is the captain of Paraguay, which is, albeit captain of the nation is not the same as captain in your football club.
Show the same qualities.
It's going to have a similar sort of quality to come over, hopefully. Anyway, fingers crossed. And the same with, I think, like João Pedro, he was captain at Watford, wasn't he, for a period? And you can see that when he's needed, he is that man to really be the talisman.
He's more, I think, a leader when he's on the ball instead of like your typical leader who's shouting. And
he's sort of a fine, I'll do it myself sort of player.
He's that sort of leader. People can look at him and just trust him. He's going, right, he's going to carry us through here. So that's where Brighton, I think, is really good, because you do have different leaders that do different things. It's just unfortunate that they're all out at the moment.
As well, and they are out. You're right. Okay, to finish up with then Saturday. Obviously, I think a different game.
Yeah, 100%.
I think a tough game. I think you'll be too good.
Yeah, I can see us obviously, hopefully, with the momentum of coming in. Like my predictions was going to be 2-0. I think we'll hopefully win 2-0.
Yeah.
I think that'll be my sort of prediction going into it. I think the game will look very different to last night.
Van Dijk and all this.
I just think it'll look different, and I think we'll maybe first half I think might be a little bit quiet, and then I think might start to open up a little bit second half. But we'll see. We'll see. Every game's different. So
yeah, it was nice to see Alexis back actually yesterday.
Yeah.
He did get an applause, and rightfully so. He's been instrumental for us, hasn't he, in the past? So I'm sure he'll get a decent reception in the away end as well. Not if he scores. I remember actually just after sort of applauding him and saying, I still like McAllister, and then just has a little dive in the middle of the park, and I was just like, little cheat. But yeah, you get what you get, don't you? But I think this game will be difficult. As you say, Alex will be probably starting. I think maybe Gakpo could start, as Ben said as well. And I think you're right. I think it will be a different game. I think we could struggle to maybe get over the line there. I think we had more chance of winning last night. Heavily rotated side. I think we almost missed an opportunity to win there with probably the team you put out. Particularly probably if you just look at it as a third string, second string sort of personnel wise. Obviously, they're still very good. Okay, I'll say based on last night, I think it's probably going to be 2 or 3-1 to you, but that's me being honest with myself. I'm still going to go there and think we're going to win.
Yeah, of course. Well, as you should, and like say, all games look different. Never know like how it might look after the first 15-20 minutes. But I don't know. I think we should from a Liverpool perspective, we should have enough quality to just go there and hopefully dominate the ball and win hopefully comfortably, and maybe show a bit more solid at the back. Obviously, yesterday didn't look look best from both ends. But I think hopefully we'll sort of show that we're a bit more solid at the back and have them sort of key players in crucial positions back as well.
Yeah, I just hope we don't go there and sort of be too naive with it. I think, you know, probably Bart Verbruggen will come back in, so maybe less
definitely.
emphasis on that build up with, you know, still playing it so close to
Yeah.
sort of, you know, giving it away goal pretty much nearly every time. So as much as I do like that, I actually really was happy that was happening yesterday, because I thought, okay, this is the style that I'm used to watching Brighton play, until we sort of start doing it and realise, hang on a minute, you know, Dunk's not there, hang on a minute, Levi Colwell's not there. It's not the same style, because
you have to change it. I think you might see a sort of similar set up to maybe how you were at Newcastle. I think you might see that, but I don't know. Arne Slot might look at that Newcastle game and be like, okay, well, you might have to change something. So yeah, I think it will be a game of tactics, I think, from both managers.
I maybe wouldn't mind the sort of Newcastle replica, because it would be nice just to get a result, I think. But the reality to me is, I do think a big part of that was down to Lewis Dunk and that impact that probably organisation of the back line would probably have helped so much.
Playing very well,
and Bart had a great game. And yeah, Bart could have a great game again, but I think it's that, as we saw against Wolves last weekend, that complete capitulation. I don't think that probably would have happened quite so much with a little bit more maybe leadership in the squad.
Yeah, potentially.
We'll see, Toby. Your score prediction was 2-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, I reckon we'll go 2-0.
2-0 final answer. All right, okay. I'm gonna go 3-1, I think. But I think my heart will say we'll get a draw and come out 1-1. But we'll see. It'll make the trip worth it, at least.
Sure.
We've just finished the video with Toby. We've come upstairs because, you know, there's a darts board here. Who knew it? We've decided to do the Caxton Arms 6 dart challenge, and a little way, really, to test our guests, see how good they are, and with 6 darts, see the highest score. By the end of the season, who could have the highest? Again, I don't know. We'll see. Let's do it. Toby, how do you rate yourself as a darts player?
Bang below average.
Bang below average. That's probably better than me, not gonna lie.
Bang below
I don't know
average.
why I've decided to do this idea, because I'm not even that good.
You were telling me how good you are earlier.
I might be the new Luke Humphries, but I don't know.
I'm not good at maths. Oh, it's a good start. Oh, it's a really good start.
All right, okay.
24.
That is the worst that I've done in the warm-ups.
I get nervous when I start. I feel a little bit shaky, you know what I mean?
Toby steps up.
I mean, a little bit shaky.
Yeah, but shit.
God, I played in front of a lot of people, but this is more nerve-wracking.
I don't know about this, mate. If you get worse than 24,
Oh, my word.
3. No pressure. You only need 1.
Oh, how's that gone?
Okay.
It's not bad, though. Apart from the first one.
Yeah.
28.
28.
My maths is quite good, actually.
Yeah, it's not bad. Right. 3 more darts.
Wasn't ideal, though.
I got 23, 24.
Yeah, it's a good start, isn't it? Yeah, it was shocking. Oh, how's that stayed in? 15, 20, 40.
64.
What do I need? I'll do it in 1 dart.
Yeah, you're comfortably.
Oh,
beating me. 12?
yeah, 12, nice. Is that? Yeah, bango. Do I go safe?
If you mate, well, to be fair, this I'll keep this on the backdrop for the rest of the week. So.
Oh, no bullseye. 16.
What's that in maths? I can't do maths.
20
Brett?
plus 16, 36 plus 12.
36.
48. Yeah, come.
64.
So I
you
got
lost.
no, I just got 48. Plus,
You just got
plus 48 plus what I get beforehand, 28. 48 plus 28. 16 plus 40.
I lost.
Yeah, 76.
I lost.
And you got
Pretty bad.
64, wasn't it?
64.
Yeah, 64. If you enjoyed that, probably didn't. If you enjoyed that, then fair play for watching this much.
Please, because I want to do more.
Please
I
cut
want to
this
get
up
better.
a lot and try and make it look better than it was, because I promise you, I'm better than that. Yeah. There you go. Get a little zoom
Come
in.
on, top of the board.
It's well.
It more looks like a 3 dot.
We'll redo it next week. Like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you want, and we'll see you.